All right, it's Thursday, April 6th, 2023, 5:14 p.m. My name is Kessie Ian Anderson, and welcome back to another edition of Heresiarch. I'm just getting right into it. It's going to be an overview of the Noahide Laws and why, in my opinion, they are the biggest threat humanity faces, just because they are the general base of everything we're going through right now. It is the foundation. It is the sandy path that we're on. So the wise man built his house upon the rock. The foolish man built his house upon the sand. This is a house of cards. This is what we're in. In my world, this is the Noahide Laws. Every single word in the Noahide Laws, every single concept, even from the name Noahide, Noah, is significant of how our slavers think of us. This is a religious war, and we are losing big time. We have been Trojan horsed in ways that we don't even understand. So, jumping in, the Noahide Laws. Do not profane God's oneness in any way. As a Christian, you would hear, do not profane God. And you'll stop there and you'll think, oh, I don't profane God. I believe in God. I accept God. But if you do not understand the background to each one of these, it sets you up to literally lose your head or to be digitally or socially cut off or monetarily cut off once CBDC is pushed out. So oneness is the big takeaway. Do not profane God's oneness in any way. Now, the big Trojan horse of Judaism, the Noahide Laws, is Moses Maimonides. They call him the Rambam. Moses Maimonides. He's the one who gave a lot of dissertations about God's characteristics, and one of those is oneness, the idea that God has no physical form, has no physical shape, is just this all-perfection entity, basically incomprehensible. I liken it to the Nicene Creed idea. But the oneness characteristic, because Christians believe in Trinity, God the Father, and then God incarnated into the form of his Son, and then the Holy Spirit, by putting a body type to God, that right there is profaning and blaspheming God. So that right there, the belief in a God that is not all encompassing, all everything, that diminishes, in their view, the oneness. So you are profaning and you are blaspheming God. So just by your belief in Christianity that God at some point incarnated or took on a body type, you have blasphemed and broken the 7 Noahide Laws. Now, that's Noahide Law 1 and Noahide Law 2. Do not murder. Well, the Noahide Laws, if you read through the Talmud, this is for Jews to Jews. The do not murder, that is accounted for amongst them. But us, this goes into Exodus, the doctrine of mixed multitude, Goyim Erev Rav, being a lesser souled entity than them, murder is not even a problem if it is from Jew to non-Jew, according to the rabbis. Now, not all rabbis, there's going to be different schools of thought. However, the ones that matter amongst the majority of Judaism, the Hasidic and Orthodox, those that accept the Talmud, Zohar, the Kabbalah, Lurianic Kabbalah, all of their holy books outside of the written Torah, those are the ones that matter. And as you will find out, the written Torah, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, is not considered part of their holiness, of their holy book. The Talmud, even then the Talmud Bavli, not the Jerusalem Talmud, but the Babylonian Talmud, that is their epitome of holy book. Do not engage in any illicit sexual relations. So, as a Christian, you look at that and you will think, well, I am married. I don't commit adultery. I do not fornicate, etc. Then you would be safe. But if you're part of the LGBTQ crowd, what's interesting is they use the rainbow. Well, the Noahide Laws, Judaism, the rainbow is theirs. And that goes back to Noah and the ark and the covenant made with the rainbow. But they do not engage in any illicit sexual relations. Now, they are going to take the rainbow back. When the pendulum goes from the huge left swing that we're in right now, even Bud Light, transgenderism, all of these very, very minuscule percentage of the population being amplified by the megaphones that they run, once the pendulum swings back to the right, it's going to get insane. Because it will not, like I'm saying, I do not believe when it goes back to the right, it's going to be a Christian right. It's going to be Noahide law right. I say that because these Noahide laws are on the books as of 1991, House Joint Resolution 104. It was called the Education Day of Sharing. Education because they run the education system. Sharing it because they want all Christians and Muslims that will renounce and recant their faith to become Noahides. That is basically a Shabbos Goy. Shabbos Goy means a Sabbath animal. And that is somebody who will be a beast of burden and do the work that the rabbis will not do on their behalf on their Sabbath day. So Noahides are just kind of a higher slave class. Now, I'm going to jump back to number 1. Do not profane God's oneness in any way. Oneness is a big deal. You have to be a monotheist in order to be considered allowed in their state or in their country or in their realm or whatever the hell they're going to call the next singularity moment that's coming. Do not profane God's oneness in any way. There's only 2 religions that fit that bill, Judaism and Islam. So the Andrew Tates of the world, he is an Islamic convert. He is pushing Islam. That is the goal. The goal is to push Islam. Islam is the wrecking ball. It is the slave class Judaism. And it is going to be foisted upon everybody. That's why we were able to go from a 9/11 blaming Islam to now you get attacked for bringing it up. So the people who control the megaphones, the people who are formulating our minds, the 1984s, and the mind hacking that they're doing to us, the programming through education, through social media, it is a massive MK Ultra program. It is to get us to accept monotheism. It is to get us to accept Islam as the religion for the slave class. Now, the do not engage in any illicit sexual relations, homosexuality included, lesbianism included, I'm sure adultery included. And to be aware, the punishment is death by beheading specifically. There are medical codes for legal methods of execution by the WHO as well as the FDA. You can look those up. The ICD codes. Another one is do not steal. Now what's interesting about do not steal is that actually has connotations to kidnapping. I have not deep dove into that enough, so I can't give very interesting nuggets about do not steal. But do not steal to me is self-explanatory. Theft is one of the biggest attacks on the do no harm mantra. Now, number 6 is a little weird. Do not eat from a live animal. The idea is that you do not tear a limb from a live living being to eat it. It must be put down, whether it's halal or kosher. And what's interesting is Judaic and Islamic health codes are literally the same thing. Very little diversion. So when people think that Islam and Judaism are at war with one another, they are not. A rabbi and one of the head imams representing Islam got together, and they are talking about how Islam and Judaism are anti-nationalist religions. And they have to be. Because the parasite has to feed on the host. There has to be a host. But the problem is it's killing the host. So even though they hate all these nations and are trying to make this global miasma of just gray, take the black and white and mix it into a shade of gray and dullness, they don't understand that that is going to destroy them as well. Yet they think they are above it. They will get to be the priests administering unto the slave class. They will be the intercessor, and that's part of it too. The Christ narrative, Christ is the intercessor, the atoner, the redeemer for mankind. They are affronted because they, as a whole, as a group, are the chosen, are the ones breathed in by God, are the ones that are to act on our behalf to God. So the do not eat from a live animal. Well, that can also refer to cannibalism in a way, as long as you put the animal down first. I say cannibalism. Well, isn't that human to human? Well, you have to understand, if you've actually deep dove Goyim and Erev Rav, you will understand that we are considered from the previous creation with the animals. We are not from the creation that brought Adam to the earth and Lilith. So we are animals in human form. Oh, well, that's terrible. That's horrible. No, it's not my fault that I read your text messages. It's not my fault that you left your phone open. It's not my fault that I found all the information that you tried to hide from us. And if a goy, me, reads the Talmud, if they had their way, it would be punishable by death, because now we're seeing under the cloak. Establish courts of law and ensure justice in our world. Go to noahidecode.org or noahide.org, and you will see how much Judaism works with the United Nations. International courts of law. Also, if you go to the 1600s, Hugo Grotius is his name. De Groot is another version of his last name. That is where our legal code was injected with the Talmud. Our United States legal code is based on the Talmud. Admiral and maritime law as well. So we are fundamentally broken in all ways. The judicial system is a scam. So I highly recommend people looking into the sovereignty movement. I have not taken as many steps as I'd like to, but once I get more of my affairs in order, I hope to rescind and become a state national. So there are a lot of tidbits in these 7 Noahide laws, and whereas the casual will just look at them and they'll say, oh, well, these are close enough to Christianity, I'm cool with it. Until you get the minutia of it. So establish courts of law and ensure justice in our world. It's Genesis 9:5, I believe, where it says that there has to be an accounting made of your blood. Well, that is translated into, when you are brought in for judgment, all of your metadata, all of your geolocations, all of your text messages, all of your pictures, all of your videos, all of your words, Alexa, all of your recordings being made, Google Homes, that will be used against you. A gentleman was arrested for sharing a meme and making or distributing a meme because they said it swayed the election for Trump. This is what we're up against. Also, if you understand Judaism, we say sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. Well, because God is this all-encompassing entity that's not physical, only mental, psychic, verbal can wound it or affect it. And these people have basically put themselves as the shield and the guardians of God, like God needs protecting. But through that is why we are being censored. They are the ones who have to dictate what is allowable discourse. They are the ones who have to state and edict and legalize and weaponize the law against us about what we can or cannot say. That's why I'm banned from Facebook and Twitter. And that is a mini judgment. So my social credit score, my web history browsing will be a total affront to what they stand for. And I have already been passed judgment upon with my accounts being shut down. YouTube, I had 2 strikes. I had to go a certain time that if I got a third, then it would shut down permanent. So I'm out of the way on one of them. If I get another one, I'm done. I only got 200 something followers. But so this is serious because this affects our real world. CBDC. Central bank digital coins. When the Federal Reserve is totally trashed and they try to pull this out on us, that's going to cut us off. Just like Benjamin Netanyahu, when he says once they get all the research and development and tech in Israel, they will hold all the power to boycott everybody else, which is to censor and destroy. So if you don't live up to their rules, don't play their game, you are out in all ways. But just like in 1984, if you have not read that book, you must read that book. That's like the one book that should be mandatory reading for every human in the planet who is struggling with Big Brother. And that's where the term is coined, Big Brother. That's this entity. It's the quiet whisperings. It's the people in the background watching your movement. It's the intelligence community spying on everything you do. That is Big Brother. And it's the idea that it's not good enough to just physically go the motions in support. You have to mentally support it as well, which is where they will, and they're going to. That's why I believe the vax and electronic magnetic frequencies and MK Ultra is so important to them. They have to break our minds to the point that we will then bow on our knees and love them. It's not good enough just to give lip service. You have to change your heart and your mind for them as well. And that's why they're so desperate to have the tech to destroy everything about us. Now, all this is pretty strong-worded, pretty heavy-handed, but I'm not even going into how bad it actually is. And we have so few that understand this. So this is just it. There's 7 Noahide Laws. The background of the Noahide Laws. Moses led the Erev Rav Goyim mixed multitude out of Egypt. 600,000 were men with the soul breathed in from God. The other 2.4 million were lesser souls from Ruchin, Sheed, and Lilin, which was the ejaculate of Adam in the Garden of Eden, which became the evil spirits and demons that reincarnated multiple times to be filling the mixed multitude's vessel. So these evil spirits were rebirthed into the 2.4 million that followed Moses. They're the ones that constructed the golden calf. Moses came down from Mount Sinai, saw what they were doing, and he trashed and dashed the first tablets on the ground. They say those were the Noahide Laws. These 7 Noahide Laws. So, the way they created those Noahide Laws is they said that God had a great reset with Noah, and there are verses used from Genesis up to that point that gave them the laws that Noah had to use, and they called them Noahide. What did Noah do? He gathered the animals. And what are we? And it gets even more controversial in the terms of sacrifice, blood sacrifice, human sacrifice. But I'll stop there. So, this is a short overview of the Noahide Laws and why I see them as a huge threat. I didn't even get into AI because of their viewpoint on angels and demons and minds and messengers. Artificial intelligence, digital code, that all ties into this. It is all singularity is Judaic. Everything, Ray Kurzweil, all these big tech innovators, all the sci-fi authors, they all were influenced by Judaic doctrine. That's where this is going, especially Kabbalah and Zohar. Zohar is literally MK Ultra programming. So if you need even more information, feel free to check out some of my previous videos as well. I recommend the Green Bomb speech. I recommend Moses, the Weak Link. And I recommend the Noahide Laws themselves when I deep dive into Menachem Mendel Schneerson, the Rebbe, and his lineage and bloodline of nepotism that kept him as the head of the Chabad Lubavitch party. And rumor is, I still stand by this, I believe Trump has converted to Judaism as of 2017. So it's not 100% provable, but True News on May 22nd of 2019 aired a video where it was stated that they had some insiders that told them that Trump had converted with Ivanka and Jared Kushner. Jared Kushner, he's Chabad Lubavitch. Steve Miller, Chabad Lubavitch. Benjamin Netanyahu's Chabad Lubavitch. I mean, once you start looking at and noticing things, it's going to paint a picture that is very disturbing in how lopsided the power structure is and who runs it. So you're either on their team as them in their club, or you're Shabbos Goy, i.e. Nancy Pelosi's father, and you are the little bus boy, the little waiter, the little cleanup man, the little fixer, wet works, whatever. But you're not going to be them. You're never going to be part of their club. Blood is thicker than water. Until next time.